Guys, they think it happen only in small towns in Italy. Can you imagine how cool this place used to be? People in small towns, they do get creative. I want to explore this fortress. Let's have a look what's inside. Life in Italian small towns has its own charm. It's so special, and it might actually be similar to life in other small towns anywhere else in the world, with a huge difference that here the tradition and this Italian soul, Italian character are so huge. If you're a tourist, this is definitely not for you. However, if you consider yourself a traveler and ideally you're doing a road trip around Italy, you must visit Italian small towns and villages. Bazzano is our first stop today. It's a small town very close to Bologna, and this castle is actually very particular because look at this pigeon. I think it's very cinematographic, no? There is a legend that says that it was built by Matilda of Tuscany. Matilda was an incredible woman, so she's known as Matilda of Tuscany, also known in Italy as Matilda de Canossa, and she was one of the most powerful nobles in Italy in the 11th century. Just can you think about it? 11th century, medieval times, and here she was, Matilda, who was extremely powerful. She was the landowner, she owned a huge amount of lands, and I think she's an exemplary woman. She's one of the most incredible women in history, actually. Let's have a look what's inside. So normally it operates as an archaeological museum. We can't get inside today. However, I think, yeah, during normal times you can have a look at what's inside, and it's incredible. Just look at it. I think I have to do a separate video about Matilda, and I've been thinking about visiting all the places where she had her castles and all the places that belong to her. So if you want to see a video about it, if you want to see a tour of all those incredible castles and places that belong to one of the most powerful women in the 11th century, put a thumbs up and let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel to support us. This fountain statue's name is La Giudita, and it takes its name from the model who posed for this statue. And there's a funny story linked to it, because originally it was planned to put the statue in La Paz, Bolivia. However, due to economic problems and other stuff, it was actually sold to Bazzano, to this comune. However, locals considered this nude woman to be inappropriate, and up to 1990s, or 1990 I think, it was hidden inside the city hall before being put here and exposed in one of the central piazzas of the city. I've been just crossing the piazza and everyone was staring at me, because it's the first day of the yellow zone when we are allowed to move from one city to another. And you know, as it happens in small towns where everybody knows everybody, and then suddenly like that there is a new face and people were staring at me, especially since I'm talking English and I'm filming, and it's such a weird feeling, but I think it's very typical for small towns, very characteristic of small towns. right now I'm going inside an old panificio, and it's incredible because they allowed us to film inside. Let's go. So this place is one of the oldest in Bazzano, and in the morning, early in the morning, they take all this fresh produce out of the ovens, and the smell here is now incredible, even though it's not so early. But just look at it, it's amazing, and I highly recommend you to visit small places like Bazzano and to visit places like this, because it's amazing. Guys, this thing can happen only in small towns in Italy. It's fantastic. We just entered the shop to ask if we could buy something typical, traditional, and they asked us if we wanted to come inside and to film inside and to look at the kitchen. And it's such an incredible experience. So I asked them for something typical for this place, and we took this schiacciata, which is a kind of a flatbread. Looks like this. And it smells really good, so let's try it. Oh. It's very good. I think it's perfect flatbread if you want, for example, to dip it into something. And it's really, really good. It's salty, but not too salty. Very tasty. And then I tried something sweet. These are called zuccherini, and these are typical cookies for weddings in this region. So when two people get married, this is a typical cookie to be prepared for their wedding day. So let's try these two. So, they're very small, very cute. Let's try them. So these are very good. They are not too sweet, but still sweet, and quite buttery, and very crispy. I like them. I think it would be a beautiful thing to have for my own wedding one day. Like such a beautiful local tradition. We are in Castelvetro, which is another small town a bit further from Bologna. We actually got a little bit lost on our way here looking for parking, but it's fine. We found it, and it's another cute place. It's another medieval town, and let's see what we can find here, because you know, I've always lived in rather big cities, and even though I'm totally a city girl, I think small towns have something special about them, and sometimes I actually feel grateful for the opportunity to escape to smaller realities and to enjoy these little bakeries, these little cafes, independent bookshops, and other stuff that is hardly found in bigger cities. Let's go see what we can find here. This is amazing because it feels like we are the only ones here, like we are the only people in this place really, because there is nobody. And it's really fun because there is literally nobody. There is a restaurant that's going to be open soon, I guess, and it's empty. It's still empty. There is no one else in the streets, and that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy, but that's also cool. It's so silent here. I mean, guys, it's amazing. Just the feeling of being in a ghost town sometimes. A very strange feeling. Good but strange. I think one of the distinctive features of small towns in general, and especially Italian small towns, is the silence, of course, you know, the calm way of life, this without rush, without extra noise, without all that noise provoked by cars and people running all the time. And it's a good thing. And another special feature of Italian small towns, thinking of that restaurant behind me, is food, because people from big cities actually go to smaller towns on weekends whenever they can to have lunch or to have dinner, because it is a known fact in Italy that food is definitely better in small towns and villages. The further you go from a bigger city, the further you go from a touristic place, the better you're gonna eat. So I think you should probably come to some small place in Italy to try the real Italian cuisine and to understand it, because it will probably be made by a nonna, you know, and it's gonna be such a special experience. Place is called an acetaia, which is an Italian word for the place where vinegar is being produced, because we're in the area where balsamic vinegar is produced. It's the birthplace of balsamic vinegar. And so this place, unfortunately, is closed today, and I can't get inside to show you, but it's really cool. There are all those machines to produce it and stuff like that. And what is really cool about it is that it smells like balsamic vinegar. Like right now I'm staying here and I can smell it in the air. And I've been thinking about making a tour around all the acetacs in this region. So tell me if you like a tour around them. Every second weekend of June there is a Mercurdo taking place here in Castelvetro. Mercurdo is a market of absurd things. So basically it's a festival of absurdity, and it's a fun thing because there are performances, absurd performances, there are artisanal stuff, absurd stuff being sold here, and I think it's like people in small towns, they do get creative. They invent those things to make their life more diverse, more fun, more exciting. I'd really like to come to see what Mercurdo is all about, because I can hardly imagine it, but I think it might be a really fun experience. Also look at these views, because these views are spectacular. I mean, living up in the hills with these views, waking up to these views should be really incredible. I would really like to have a view like that. This place makes me think of Narnia, actually. Have you read Chronicles of Narnia? Have you seen the movie? It's one of my favorite series, I think. And I mean, look at this lampstand. It's so Narnia, and I can't even. Guys, do you live in a big city or in a small town? Tell me in the comments, I'm so curious to know. And tell me whether you prefer small town living or big city life. Guys, just to show you how silent this place is, a few minutes ago we actually forgot to turn on the mic, so there was no mic, and I've just listened to the video that we made, and it's amazing because you can hear everything. I hope it doesn't affect your experience, but whatever, we forgot to turn on the mic, and it still was possible to hear every single word that I said. Look at this door, this is so cute. I think this is such a significant part of small towns in Italy, because people here, they can take care of their surroundings and of their homes. Just look at it, it's so cute. I like how people decorate with greenery and other plants, and here as well, look. This is so nice. And it's such a distinctive feature of small towns. It's harder to make something like that in a big city because, you know, there is no such community that would take care of it all, because here people look out for each other and they will take care of someone else's belongings as well, and this is such a nice feeling, I think. Such a cool thing to live in a small town, isn't it? Now, let's move on, going to the next town. So we're in Spilamberto, which is the last point of interest for today. It's raining a little bit, not too much. I have a very interesting story to tell you a bit later about that place behind my back. However, before we get there, I want to explore this fortress. Let's have a look what's inside. Come with me. I'm not even sure we could be here, but let's have a look anyway. Can you imagine how cool this place used to be centuries ago? I mean, it used to be so beautiful. You can still see it today, but you can't really see any of the beauty. I think there is a park out there. Should be really cute. Let's have a look there too. Guys, it's really beautiful, like really beautiful. The park itself and also the fortress from this side is so cool. I took an umbrella just in case. So the fortress that we've just been to belonged to the Rangoni family, which used to be the seigneurs of Spilamberto in Renaissance times. And now we're going to Torrione di Spilamberto, which is the most fascinating place here, and it's actually a bit creepy. Let's go, I'll tell you a story. So, in 1947, that tower behind me was restored after the bombings in the Second World War. And during the restoration works, a teeny tiny cell was found hidden behind the stairs. It was super tiny, but the weird thing about that cell was that it was all covered with drawings and inscriptions. And the prisoner that apparently used to stay in that cell appeared as very learned and well-versed in poetry, based on what he wrote and what he drew and everything. And he signed his work, you know, his graffiti, as Messer Filippo. So there used to be several studies conducted after that founding to understand who Mr. Filippo was. Because judging from what he said, judging from what he wrote, he stayed there because of an affair that saw some powerful families, including the Rangoni family, as protagonists. However, Mr. Filippo was accused there and put there for life. It was in the 16th century, and he told all his life story basically in the drawings and in that inscriptions. And unfortunately, we can't visit it today. However, I highly recommend you to have a look if you happen to be in Spilamberto one day. Look at the building. It looks so old, but also so beautiful. Just imagine it being restored. Do I look like Mycroft Holmes from BBC's Sherlock with that umbrella? Let's go find a pasticceria that serves some special desserts, some special sweets, typical for this area and typical for Spilamberto. So unfortunately they don't have this typical thing that I was talking about because it's the first day that they're open after the orange zone and they didn't have it. However, I took some very typical Italian sweets. These are called beignets and these are called zeppoline and some chocolate, and they look amazing, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna be amazing too. So good to be having some amazing cappuccino with rain pouring outside. Here, you know, we're in the covered terrace, and it feels so good to be back, kind of back to normal, kind of back to the yellow zone where we can leave Bologna and travel a little bit and just have our coffee and pastries outside in a cafe, something that we'll definitely not take for granted anymore.